Yo, what's poppin' guys, Szyl here, and today we're taking a look at every single Pokemon that you cannot catch in Black and White 2. This took me about 4 to 5 hours of my own personal research, which I was going to do anyway because I'm working on getting a live dex in Black and White 2. So first off, some notes before we start. Some of the Pokemon that you can technically catch in Black and White 2, you can only catch by interacting with other copies of Black and White 2. So, for example, FunFest missions, which are basically like co-op little missions you can do in-person wirelessly, or Unova Link, which lets you get the Regigigas and the Regitrio into your own game, but you have to interact with another person's game to get that. The starter Pokemon for Gen 5 are only available once per save file, so if you need the other two, you either need to hack them in or trade with someone. And also, many of the Pokemon are very hard to get in Black and White 2, and could be easier to get elsewhere, but me personally, that's really not a problem. I'm going to, go for those 1% encounters. I'm going to be going to those hidden grottos. I'm going to do, like, the side quests I gotta do, because it's all pretty good fun. Anyway, first off, we have the version exclusives. You can see all of them on screen right there. They're pretty straightforward. You have the many different lines. I'm not going to read them all out to you, but you can see them all on screen, so if there's a Pokemon in particular you're looking for, it could be on here. Then we have previous starters. Gen 1 through 4 starters are not available in any capacity in Gen 5, other than possibly through some region-specific mystery gifts. But yeah, you want to get them from previous games, and here's the names if you don't know them already. But yeah, you have to get the starters from other games. You can't get them in Gen 5. Then we have normal, non-legendary Pokemon that are just not available in Black and White 2. It's either game. We have the first half of the Generation 1 list. There's actually two halves of it. A lot of Gen 1 Pokemon and their evolutionary lines are missing, but for a lot of these Pokemon, you just have to get one of them to kind of get the whole line. Then you have the second half here. I had to find these all by hand. I'm sure there's actually probably a guide or something out there as to all the stuff that's missing, but I went through all 649 Pokemon on Cerebi and manually checked to see what was available to get in Black and White 2, and this was not. Then Generation 2 is a lot smaller. It's just this line. Gen 3 is a bit bigger, and these graphics were also made by me. I just copy-pasted in the sprites into Photoshop, and there was just a lot of effort to make this. We have Gen 4, there's a few Mons as well. And then we have Legendary Pokemon. Many were event exclusive, and you can't get legit anymore. So we have our catchable legit Pokemon, where if you have some of the older games, you can still get these guys legit. However, a lot of these are kind of annoying to get legit, and you have to beat entire games to get them. Like, you can see Fion and Manaphy there. They're only catchable legit by beating Pokemon Ranger and Pokemon Platinum, and then you get one of them. It's a big pain in the ass. And actually what's interesting is Landorus. When you think of Gen 5, you think of Landorus, Thundurus, and Tornadus, but you can't actually get them in Black and White 2. You can only get them in Black and White 1, so that's an important distinction to make. Including their alternate forms. And then these are legendary mons that were only ever released through events. You could never have gotten these unless you were at the event for like the 1 week it was available. So the only way you can get these mons in 2023 is to either hack in the event or use custom event servers to basically get something that some people might consider legit, but some people might not, because you are connecting to non-Nintendo servers. Although, in terms of legitimacy, I think that's one of the most legit ways to, get them instead of just hacking them in RAW. It's all personal preference, though, as to how far you're willing to go with hacks. Anyway, that brings up the question: what is the best way to catch everything that you can't get in Black and White 2? So for starters, Heart Gold and Soul Silver is the best, because you can get the Gen 2 starters just by playing the game, you can get the Gen 1 starters after beating the game, and you can also get the Gen 3 starters after beating the game by talking to Steven Stone and Professor Oak. So you can get Gen 1 through 3 starters, but it is in the post-game, so if you want to save yourself a lot of hassle, you could just play through, I don't know, like Fire Red and Leaf Green to get the Gen 1 starters, and obviously like just Emerald to get like the Gen 3 starters. It does save you a lot of time, because the Gen 1 starters, you only get really late on. Anyway, the question is, what do you need for the rest of the Pokemon? And before I get into that, I'm going to go over this mystery gift system. For Black and White 2, there's a lot of mystery gifts, and through fan servers, which I personally think is pretty much legit, because this is basically how you would have gotten them, you know, in the past. They were actually available for real. Now, if you go to your Wi-Fi settings, if you go to my live dex episode 70, which won't be live for a while, or just look up online how to do a custom DNS, you basically change one value in your Wi-Fi settings to a custom value, and it lets you get all of these in modern day, and you can see that gives you a lot of stuff that you weren't able to get otherwise, like Pikachu, the Pikachu line, Victini, Mewtwo, Darkrai, Keldeo, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, Smeargle, which is surprisingly non-Black and White 2, but isn't Black and White 1, another Mewtwo, Meloetta, Zekrom and Reshiram, so that you can have both in the same version, Deoxys, and Genesect. Yeah, I mean, that's just important to recognize, but the best options for actual games are, this is everything I believe you'll need. You'll need Heart Gold and Soul Silver to get everything except Snorunt. Like, from all the basic Pokemon, you can get everything except Snorunt in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. The only way to get Snorunt in Heart Gold and Soul Silver themselves is if you have a Pokewalker, and you grind that out. But instead of just doing that, you could just catch Snorunt in Platinum. But yeah, with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you catch every one of the normal Pokemon except Snorunt. You can also get Ho-Oh, Lugia, Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno, Raikou, Suicune, and Entei, all legit in modern day. There's no fancy tricks to get them, they're just part of the game. You can also get Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza, but if you want those, you either need to hack in either Kyogre or Groudon based on what version you picked, or play through both games to get Kyogre and Groudon, because they are version exclusives, to then get Rayquaza, because you need both of those to get Rayquaza in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Much easier just play Gen 3 in my opinion, rather than play through Gen 4 twice. Then you need Platinum if you want Snorunt specifically, and you also need Platinum for the Gen 4 starters. That's the only place they're available. Well, not Platinum specifically, but you want Platinum specifically because that's how you can get Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina all in the same game. You can also get Fiona and Manaphy through this in modern day legitimately by playing through Pokemon Ranger and then transferring an egg into your Platinum save file. Then obviously you need, Black or White 2, and you also have to play through both Black and White 1 and both of them. You can pick Black or White 2, they both don't really matter. You get the exclusives from White 1 or White 2 anyway. Sorry, White 1 or Black 1 anyway, but Black 1 and White 1 you have to use to get Thundurus, Tornadus, and Landorus if you want their basic abilities. However, if you don't want their basic abilities, you could just play Black 1 or White 1 to get the other exclusives you need from Black or White 2, because you have to kind of get them anyway. You might as well get them from Black 1 and White 1 because they're a little bit faster, in my opinion, to play through. But anyway, you have Dream Raider, which is how you get Tornadus, Landorus, and Thundurus Therian. There's literally no other way to get them, so this is kind of a required game to play if you want their special forms. If you don't care for their forms, you don't have to do this. And in Dream Raider, if you have the other games, you can just put in their cartridges to get Dialga, Palkia, Lugia, Ho-Oh, and Giratina with their hidden abilities. And also with the Therian forms, you can also get the base forms by using an item available, I believe in Black and White 2, that can reveal their normal forms instead of their Therian forms, but you get a different hidden ability, you get their base form hidden abilities that way. That's the only way to get those hidden abilities. And with Dream Raider, if you really want to, you can also get Porygon and Smoochum. They're both available in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but for Porygon specifically, it's actually probably much easier to get with Dream Raider, because you're going to have to grind it a lot to get Tornadus and Landorus and all that anyway. Versus Porygon in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you get from the Game Center from having 9999 coins, which takes forever. It takes a few hours versus a few minutes in Dream Raider. So it's much easier to get there. And then you want Emerald as well, which gets you Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza just in the base game. And if you do use hacks or a really crazy custom modded card or something, which basically just isn't legit either way, you can get the Jirachi, Mew, and Deoxys events. Jirachi was just a distributed event Pokemon you could have gotten as an actual event. Mew and Deoxys both have in-game events, which are pretty good, pretty fun. I definitely recommend giving them a shot. They're some of the better, cool, legendary events. And then also, through Coliseum, you can just get Jirachi legitimately without the need for that hacked event if you have Coliseum and the ability to attach it with a GameCube to Emerald. That's the way to get legit. I also kind of skipped over this by mistake, but for Platinum, you also want Platinum because it gets you Shaman, Darkrai, and Arceus if you either hack in the events or use glitches. There are glitches that let you get those 3 Pokemon, but they're extremely complex. It's much easier and pretty much the same legitimacy to just hack them in. But yeah, that is the best way, and the only real way to get a Black and White 2 live decks. That's all the exclusives. It took me forever to research. I hope this is useful to people in the future so they won't have to do the same research themselves. This does not apply to Black and White 1. There's a lot of stuff you can get in Black and White 1 that you can't get in Black and White 2 and vice versa. But this is kind of the best way to catch everything for Black and White 2, which is the only game I cared about researching because that's where I want to get myself a live decks in. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed and got a lot of use out of this, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.